Hey, hello everybody. Hi there. How you all doing? Today's just a quick one really. So thank you all for joining. Just really quickly. Today will just be just a little mediator. Let's call it a little mediator. It's just a little session on how exactly do we stop ourselves panicking in this exam season. Now, I presume a lot of you guys are, year 13s, some of you might be year 11s. I mean, should we get, I mean, Get your years in the chat. Who's in year 13? Who's in year 12? Who's in year 11? If everyone could put their years in the chat, that would be great. So just so I know how to sort of structure this talk. Because if you guys are year 12 and year 10, it's going to be a little bit different. Okay, year 13s, year 12s, year 10s, year 12s. Okay, so we've got a mix, we've got a range. That's good. Okay. The purpose of today's talk, and I think the main thing for you guys today, if you're in GCSEs and A-levels, doesn't matter. This is useful for both of you. The purpose of today's talk is to get you guys to understand that it's not the end of the world, okay? And that you have a few months left. And if you're in year 10 and if you're in year 12, you have a whole bunch of time. Or you could be stressing for your mocks right now. But it's about giving you guys a little bit of structure to your revision. Now, just in terms of who I am, before we kind of get started, my name's Ibrahim. A lot of you might have met me if you've been on our medical admissions and trying to get into medical dental school, you may have met me. But today I'm going to be speaking about the academic side of things. Now, for me, I've been a tutor for 5 years. I've smashed my GCSEs. I've gone all nines in my GCSEs, and I smashed my offer to get into medical school. And I've achieved a top 5% UCAT score, for those of you who know what that means. Now, I've seen a whole bunch of students. I've gone through cascades of students, and a lot of people think the exact same way. So, just a quick disclaimer before we kind of get into things is you may hear some things today that is different, a little bit different to what you may have heard before. Now, for those of you who sort of they've gotten their tutoring from their parents, they've gotten their tutoring from, or they've gotten the way they've revised from their parents or maybe from their teachers, you may be used to a certain way. You may be used to taking notes, you may be used to watching videos, maybe rereading your notes, that sort of thing. You may be used to that. That's perfectly fine. Now, today isn't about scolding that. I'm not here to scold any revision techniques. I'm aware that revision techniques work best for different people, but I'm here to give you guys an outline of a variety of things you could be doing. Because the reality is, one shoe doesn't fit all, but at the same time, there is a technique that works. And it's about seeing, okay, what should we use? What should we use in year 13? What should we use in year 10 and year 11? What should we use to kind of make sure that we're on the right track, right? So for those of you, no matter what year you're in, this is useful. Ideally for those in the younger years, this is more useful. But for those in the upper years or the ones that are sort of in year 13, year 11, and you've got your exams in a few months' time, then just pay attention to sort of the techniques I'm saying. You don't need to completely change the way you revise, but today is just about getting you a little bit motivated, just adding a bit of structure to your life. I think that's the main thing. And if you can get that out today, I'll be happy. Now, in the end of today, what I'll be doing is, throughout today, I'll be I'll be giving you guys a few resources as well. Now, I'm completely aware that maybe it's not maybe some resources aren't the best. I know some of depending on what exam board you're doing, you may have some resources, you may not. I don't think it matters, but I think the main thing to realize is we have our own resources as well, and we've released a productivity guide today, so you guys will be the first ones that will have access to that today, and you'll have that completely for free for yourselves to use. So I'm just gonna be taking a few of the resources that we have today, just completely for free. And as well, I'm going to be taking you through a few revision methods. So I'll make this as quick as possible. I know a lot of you guys are fasting and it's Sunday, so it's a lazy day. So we'll try and be as quick as possible. Now the facts are this is the facts. And I'm not going to say it, all right. But the reality is some people they get bogged down, especially if you guys who are going into medical medicine dentistry, you get bogged down into getting in and oh, let me do the interview, let me do the UCAT. I'm getting stressed, I'm getting this, I'm getting that. This is happening, that is happening. They end up forgetting about their academics. Now, I'm here to prevent that happening. What are we in? We've just hit March, all right? So we've got a few months left. I'm here to prevent that happening because tens of thousands of students miss out on offers. Actually, you know what? I'm going to give you guys a little just a little story. I mean, a lot of you might have heard it, some of you may have not. But some people, they miss out on their interviews. They miss out on their offers to university. For those in year 13, you may have four rejections, but some of you may have been put on a waiting list. If you smash your A levels and you get three A stars, or two A stars A, or A star AA, there's a good chance one of those universities will call you and say, listen, you have a place. So it actually works, it works in your benefit to do well in your A levels, whether or not you've got offers. So just keep that in mind. Your A levels are going to be the thing that hold back on you. Your GCSEs are going to be the thing that the sixth forms will look at. Your GCSEs will be the thing that you'll be looked at in your universities. So make sure you prioritize that because yeah, you could do all these fancy things, but if your academics aren't there, it really, really limits you. So just make sure that you do that. So sure, pay attention to that last one. Number three. Over 60% of students report revising ineffectively. Well, what does that mean? Well, okay, fine. If it was ineffectively, I'd understand, but it's just the last bit of that. Despite putting in hours. Now that's a stressful thing. If you're putting in 5, 6 hours a day revising and your grades aren't going up, what's going on? Is it you? I mean, at some point you start questioning yourself, am I smart for this? Am I enough for this? Can I do well? I guarantee you it's not you. And you know what? I guarantee you that's not you. The amount of students I've tutored, right? The amount of students I've tutored that have thought to themselves, listen, I'm not smart enough for this. I can't do this. And they end up getting 3 stars. They end up getting nines. They end up getting eights, sevens, eights, nines, A's and A stars. And they thought they couldn't do it. I guarantee you can. So how do most students think then? I mean, it depends on what kind of year. If you're in year 10, I'll cut you a little bit of slack because you haven't had much, you haven't really had much exposure to things. But for those of you in year 11 or year 12, for those of you in year 12 and above who've kind of been through the GCSE process, you may be used to a certain way of learning. Now, there's this, I'm aware there's this study aesthetic going around, right? But oh, let me highlight my notes, let's put in some hours, let's go to the library together, let's do this, let's do that, let me make some nice notes. I mean, it works, it's great, it works for some extent. But if you're sat there doing 10-hour study shifts, you really need to rethink, okay, how much work am I getting done in those 10 hours? What is the issue with how people think? It's about realizing that your life needs to revolve around your studies. Now, I don't blame any of you for that thought. Every single one of your parents will have put that in your heads. Okay. Revolve everything around your studies. Revolve your whole life around your studies. Your studies are a priority. But when you do that, you think of it like a burden. It's something I need to do. I need to put in 5 hours a day. I need to put in 3 hours a day revising. And then you end up not doing it properly. You don't end up structuring your revision. You don't end up structuring your learning. Nothing gets structured. And you get put in a place where you put in so much effort, and then you're right next to exam season and nothing's happened. Why? Why have your grades not gone up? Okay, let's take things through. Let's take things through slowly. I'm not going to take it through. I'm going to take it to the basics of motivation. Now, motivation is it's a feeling at the end of the day, but it's something that we think that okay, you know what? We're motivated. All right, I'm going to get some work done. I'm going to put in the shift. Why is that not enough? It's simple. You can't wait for motivation. It won't come for you. The reality is, most people don't want to do their GCSEs. You don't want to do your A levels. Who does, right? I mean, ideally, I could just sit at home playing games all day, do nothing with my life, but that's not the case, okay? So, what's going on? Your success in your studies comes from the idea of productive discomfort. You need to put in that first step. Motivation doesn't come. Psychologically proven that you can't wait for it. Motivation comes when you put in the first step. And that's something people don't realize. You won't get motivation from just sitting there doing nothing. You need to be active. You need to want it. Again, some people class that as motivation, but it's not. It's just about forcing yourself to put in that first step. When you sit down, when you just sit, you tell yourself, you timetable yourself, you said, you know what, at 5 p.m., I'm just going to sit down at my desk. And I want to go through this topic. and I'm going to go through this question for this many minutes. Then you sit down at your desk and you're like, you know what, I really can't be bothered to do this. But you said, you know what, I'm just going to do one question. If you sit down, you can't be bothered, but you do one question, I guarantee you're going to sit there and do the rest of that paper. Because it's not about motivation. It's about that productive discomfort. It's about changing the mindset that you have. If you think that you've always been bad at maths, right? I've always been bad at maths. I've always been bad at chemistry. I can't get it. I can't understand it. If you limit yourself to that mindset, it won't change. It's about it's about conditioning yourself. You got to change your mindset to realize that you can do these things. It's possible, 100%. But it's not, it's about taking control of your own education. Now, it's a thing that we don't talk about. Teachers don't talk about it, schools don't talk about it because it doesn't benefit them really. But you got to take control of your own education. What does that mean? Simply put, you can't rely on your teachers. Some people say to me, and I've had students, they've come to me and they say, listen, I'm so bad at chemistry, my chemistry teacher can't teach. It's her fault I'm failing. Okay, okay. You know what? I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Yes, your chemistry teacher can't teach. But why does that mean you can't do well in exams? Where's the correlation in that? It's about changing that growth mindset. How do we get to that growth mindset? What is the growth mindset? It's about realizing that, okay, this mindset that I have, that I'm not ready to grow, that I can't fail, that I can't do well in the subject, is going to limit you. You have to take your mistakes as learning curve. You have to take every single mistake you take, every single mistake you do, you have to change it. Flip it around as a success. Every single failure, every single question you get wrong is a question that next time you see it, you're going to get it right. Right? Of course you will. Because you just seen it and you got it wrong. You're going to think, okay, I got this wrong. I'm going to get it right next time. Change that mindset. I guarantee you, the second you start seeing the mistakes you make as learning curves, is the second your grades will skyrocket. Because you stop focusing on the things you're good at. A lot of people, they sit there and they tend to focus on the things they're good at. They focus on the fact that they're really, really good at integration. Oh, I'm so good at integration. Let me do some integration questions. Oh, I'm really good at cell biology. Let me do some cell questions. Okay, well, what's that got on you? You're already good at it and you're already getting them right. What have you benefited from that? Again, it comes back to that productive discomfort. Okay, so we've talked about the mindset, but what is the key issue? Because a lot of people this doesn't exist. Okay, this doesn't exist. This slide does not exist in people's heads, and I don't blame it. It never existed in mine. It took me a really, 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 really long time to understand how to manage my time. You need to stop closing yourselves up. A lot of students, they sit there and they say, listen, I'm going to do 2 hours a day. Or like they say, okay, I'm going to do 4 hours a day. And then if I do 2 hours in this and 2 hours in that, and then if I do that every single day, I'm going to get an A star. It's about structuring the timing. Those hours that you've put in mean nothing. It's about what you've gotten out of them. I kid you not, there's people that do an hour a day of revision and they still end up with A stars. And you look at them and you tell them how. You look at them and they say, oh, these guys are geniuses. How are they getting these grades when they've only put in an hour a day of work? It's about structuring your time. Structure your revision schedules in. Right. That's first of all, structure that in because that needs to be done. Otherwise, you'll never sit down. If you say to yourself, listen, when I get home from school at 5 p.m., or let's say before iftar, now before iftar, I'm just gonna get some work done. You structure that and then you say, okay, I'm gonna take a little break and then maybe at 8 p.m. I'll do about half an hour while I get some questions done from the revision I just learned. So you put in half an hour for questions, after at 8 p.m., 8 till 8:30, and then you put an hour to learn content for what you don't know. And then you specify what that is. So you say to yourself, okay, in that hour, I'm going to do photosynthesis because I don't understand photosynthesis. And I'm going to do that. And then in those 30 minutes at 8 p.m., I'm going to do questions on them. Okay, great. You just structure your time. You sat yourselves down and you understand what you're going to do. A lot of people, they sit down to revise and they have no idea what they're going to do.
Yeah,
Okay. Think
earphones you're joining
basic.
today.
Think from the basics, right? because it is about the basics. It's not as complicated as you make it out to be. Think of the basics. Learn this topic, do these questions. You don't need to overcomplicate things. And this is the thing that people do. If you don't know what you don't know, which is a problem. Okay, I get it. Okay. I had a student this morning. She said to me, "Listen, I don't know what I don't know." And we had a little laugh about it. But it's a thing. You don't Some people just don't know what they don't know. And how do you get around that? The specification. If you guys haven't heard of the specification by now, for those of you in year 10 and year 12, this is a godsend to you. Okay. Use the specification, whatever the subject is. Chemistry AQA specification. Look at it. Okay. Read it. There's a topic you don't understand. Read the whole specification on that topic. You will understand what you need to learn. If you've primed your brain to understand what you need to learn, when you go into that revision session, you'll know what you want to get out of it. And just simply doing that will make things so much more efficient for you. It'll make things so much more productive for you. And you'll feel like you're wasting much less time. Because imagine you sit down, so you say, listen, I'm going to revise. You sit down and then you don't know what you're going to do. Okay, should I do this? Should I do that? Oh, I've got some homework to do. Let me do that. You're never going to get anything done. You're not going to be productive. And unfortunately, the thing that I want you guys to do is I want you to low-key think that you've got the least amount of time possible. You need to think to yourselves, I have the least amount of time possible. I have no time. When you sit down to revise, be like, okay, listen, I have no time to revise. What do I do to get the most out of it? If you always think to yourself, I have no time, then you won't waste time. I mean, it's that consistency. Make sure that even a little bit is done every single day. There's so many resources out there. For the sciences, there's Cognito, cognitoedu.org. Cognito, they have multiple choice questions, past paper questions, but they have just quick multiple choice questions and flashcards that you can do for your sciences. And that takes like 20 minutes max, tops, but you'll get so much out of it. Seneca as well. Seneca have all the content for your whole specification on Seneca, and it's done into little mini questions and mini sections, completely for free, by the way. Seneca Learning, Cognito Edu, those are things that will take you 10, 20 minutes, but it's efficient revision. It's stuff that maybe sometimes you're a bit tired, but you need to keep consistent. That's what you do. Okay? That's what you do. Is it better to look at topics from the specification or the textbook from the exam board? Specification. The textbook from the exam board is not as good as you think because it's got a lot of waffle in it that will never be used. And that's a reality. If you revise from the textbook, you'll realize that there's so much and you'll start overburdening yourself. If you prime yourself for the specification first and you look at what's on the specification first, then you know what you want to get out of it. Then you can look at the textbook. Go for it. Look at the textbook. I won't stop you because at that point you know what you need to know. Okay? But if you don't know what you need to know and you start learning all this fancy stuff and it ends up none of it is on your exam, then to some extent you've wasted your time. And I don't want you to waste your time. I don't want you to put in hours that you don't need to put in. That's something I want you guys to get out today. And that's a priority for me. Is I don't want you to put in time that you don't need to put in. I want to minimize the hours you put in and get the most out of it. That's my goal today. So that's what managing time is about. Okay. This is just some resources. Now, Google Calendar, if you're not used to calendaring your tasks in your day, perfectly fine. I don't expect you to get into that habit straight away. This is something you'll pick up over the years. It's something you pick up into university time. Google Tasks is an easy one. I think just having a to-do list of things to do is very easy. I think that's something you guys can pick up. That's not something that takes much to make a habit out of. That's just something, a way to kind of structure your thoughts because a lot of times in your head, you know you need to do a lot of things, but it tends to, you know, it tends to be too much. You kind of get overburdened. So just make sure you don't overburden yourself. The way to do that is very simply write down the things you need to do as it comes to your head. Write them down in Google Tasks, look at them every single day, and then structure your revision that way. Okay. Okay. Ooh. Okay. What is this? What is this? Active recall and space. What is that? What is active recall and space repetition? Can someone tell me what active recall is? I mean, just put it in the chat. What do you think? Just get some definitions in the chat. Just go, I want to involve as many people as possible. Well, what's active recall? Ibrahim, what do you think about having a large list to go through and every day you aim to finish one of these topics efficiently rather than having a day thing? I think it works. It can work if you know how to structure that large list and break it up into chunks. But some people, they have a large list and it overwhelms them. It just depends on how you think. So I think it's about, if you have a large list, that's perfectly fine. It's just about structuring yourself, thinking, okay, but in this week, I want to kind of get through this. And then you sort of, you have a huge thing that you want to do and you break it down into little chunks. That way, you'll make sure to hit your goal and you won't get overwhelmed by things. Okay. A prompt that forces you to recall something. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's simple. Keep revising to remember, revising and going through information over short periods of time. Okay, so the thing is about the priority about sort of active recall. Active recall, and I'll have it on the next slide. I'll explain it on the next slide. Don't worry about it. Okay, what about spaced repetition then? What do you think spaced repetition is? Spaced repetition, I think one of you said it. What's spaced repetition? What is it? What is that? Spaced repetition. Does anyone know? Spaced visiting of topics, yeah. So spaced repetition, I'll explain it. We'll go. We'll see. We'll see. What do you think? So we'll start with active recall. So first of all, active recall. The thing is about active recall is it's about, okay, you forgot something. How do I remember it in a different way so that I form those neural connections? Now, that seems really fancy, right? You can remember things in one way, you can remember things in a different way. And if you can kind of apply your ways of remembering things in different sort of ways, you will form basically different memories, what we call different neural connections for that same piece of information. In other words, it takes so much longer to forget something because you've got so many neural connections to that thing, right? Let's say you want to remember that the aorta pumps blood to the rest of the body. Okay? You want to remember that. That's in biology. Way to remember it is just remembering that fact. A way of testing that is testing it in a question, testing it in a different question, and then getting someone to test you, and then teaching why the aorta pumps blood to the rest of the body to someone else, and then also writing down why the aorta pumps blood to the rest of the body. If you do all of that, I guarantee you will remember that the aorta pumps blood to the rest of the body. And the easiest form of doing this is flashcards. Okay, flashcards is the easiest form of doing this. There's flashcards online on Physics and Maths. There's flashcards on Cognito. There's flashcards on Seneca. There's flashcards on a bunch of these websites, and they will do this for you, this sort of active recall. It's about sort of activating your brain in a way of recalling information. Because to some extent, a lot of the GCSEs and a lot of the A-levels, for some people, it becomes a game of memorization. Now, if it's a game of memorization for you, I'm sorry, you've put yourself in the deep end a little bit. Because if you lack understanding of a topic and you try to memorize it plainly for the sake of memorizing, that's not going to go into your head. Some topics you have to do it. Chemical analysis, for example, chemical analysis, for those of you doing chemistry GCSEs, chemistry year 13 chemistry, chemical analysis is a topic that, like, low-key you have to just memorize. Like, there's some things like, this compound is this color in this flame. I'm sorry, you can't get around that. In that case, this kind of works best. You need to make sure that you're getting the flashcards in. But for those topics where you kind of have to have a little bit of an understanding, make sure to utilize flashcards to build that understanding. Use different ways of memorizing to get to the same fact. That way you'll strengthen those neural connections. Okay. Spaced repetition is doing this, but doing it over and over again. Doing it and distributing it over time. Let's say you understand something. Okay, you understand it now. Will you understand it in 3 days' time? Will you understand it in 2 weeks' time? Now the issue is, and this is what happens, people learn something, people do some work, people revise, right? They revise a topic, And then 2 weeks later, they come to do a past paper and that topic comes up and they've just forgotten it completely. And then they have to go back and revise it again. How much time you've wasted. So it's about spacing your repetition out. It's about revisiting those topics that you've revised. Let's say today you do a topic, okay, good, and you were really good at it, you got 100% in everything, right? In 2 days' time, revisit it. Look at those questions again and think, okay, can I do them? Do I understand this? Or just think, okay, I'm going to teach this to myself. Just sit there, sit to yourself and teach yourself the topic as if you've never learned it before. That tests if you really understand something. Okay? That really does. It really does test that. So this is just have a look at this graph, just for you guys here. Just have a look at this and just have a think. I'm gonna see if there's any questions here. Um, okay, do flashcards count as active recall? Yes, it is. I think for a lot of people, part of that active recall is actually making the flashcards themselves. For a lot of people, making those flashcards is a form of retention, is a form of studying. Some people they don't make notes. They just make flashcards straight up. And that's perfectly fine. You can do that because that gets the information in your head and then you're testing yourself with that information. That's active recall. So that's really good, right? Um, should I make revision notes then flashcards? Should I just go straight into flashcards? Straight into flashcards. Straight into flashcards. There's no point in making study notes. Rereading notes, making your own notes does nothing for you. What would do something for you is, as it says here, summarizing in your own words. I think that comes as part of teaching. So maybe if you have a, let's say you use a textbook for some reason. Let's say you use a textbook. Maybe putting some bullet points of those notes and sort of teaching it to yourself. That's a way of retention. But actually sitting there and just making notes from a video and then making flashcards after that. And then you can test yourself, maybe, if you have time. That's going to take about 4 hours of your time. For what? Watch a video on a topic. All right? Watch a video, start to finish from a topic. Do what's called blurting. So blurting is when you have a blank piece of paper and you just write down everything you know. You write down everything you know about that topic. Blurt it. Okay? So sit there, watch a video, blurt everything down. Then you can look at the video again, see what you missed, write that down, and then think to yourself, okay, I've done this. I'm gonna make some flashcards on it. Make flashcards on it, or don't even make your own flashcards. There's PMT flashcards, there's Cognito flashcards for sciences. You can use those, they're perfectly amazing. Actually, I never made my own flashcards ever. I never made my own flashcards. I never made my own notes, and I ended up getting all nines. So use those flashcards. Use the things that already pre-exist there on you, for you. The important thing is just getting that repetition in. Time practice and feedback. Amazing. If you're not doing past papers, if you're not doing topic questions on PMT, physics and maths tutor, if you're not doing topic questions, like GCSE science topic questions, for example, then you're missing out on a lot of valuable time. Because that's what the exam is, right? And people, I mean, the exams, to be honest, it's gotten to the point now where the exams the specification has gone on for so long that they have to end up reusing the same pieces of content, the same questions. So make sure you do that. Make sure you're constantly reusing questions. Make sure you're constantly doing that. Okay? Because that's going to do you more wonders than anything else. Doing those questions. How would you recommend learning the organic mechanisms? Flashcards enough. It's about understanding. With things like that, it's about understanding the mechanisms. I'm not going to go for those people that don't do that. I don't want to go into too much detail, but just to answer that question really quickly, you need to understand the mechanisms. Understand, why does this arrow go from here to here? Why does the electron move there? What about that? And I guarantee you, the second you understand why that mechanism exists, you can form that mechanism by yourself without the need of anything. If you've been given that compound and given that, whatever it is, the anion, you can make that mechanism without knowing what it is. And that's what they're going to get you to do in the exam, by the way. They're going to get you to apply to a random mechanism you've never seen before. So you need to understand it. So this is something you guys, for everyone, even people that don't do chemistry, understand the content that you're learning, because in your exam, it's application. It's never just content recall. I mean, there's some multiple choice questions that exist, but it's never just knowledge recall. You never get put in a place where you just have to blurt out the content you've learned. No, you have to apply it to a new scenario that you've never seen before. And that takes a lot of effort. And if you don't understand the content, it takes a lot of effort, okay? And you're not going to get the answer right, unfortunately. So it's about utilizing past papers. Learn the pattern, drill the topic, and then simulate the pattern. What does that mean? Learn the pattern, learn the content, do some questions, drill by topic, learn it topic by topic. When you do a topic and you learn a topic, do the questions on that topic. Okay? And make sure you know it. Make sure you're okay at it. Make sure you understand why the mark scheme's a certain way. Look at the mark scheme and think, okay, why is it a certain way? Why is it this way? Right? Drill yourself and then simulate the pattern. That's the final step. That's when you start doing full past papers. That's when you've gone through every single topic and you know you've broken it up and you understand every single topic and you're good at it. Do full past papers. At that point, you can then put all of this together and really see, okay, can I get this done? Now, what do I mean by don't mark them casually? Very simply, don't do a whole past paper, get the mark scheme, and just tick, cross, tick, cross, tick, cross, tick, cross, done. Call it a day. That marking process is where your learning lies, more than it is doing the past paper. When you do a past paper, what I recommend, some people don't agree with me on this. They don't agree with me. What I recommend is, this is what I've been doing my whole life. Okay. Do one question, mark that question. Do the next question, mark that question. Do the next question, mark that question. And when you're doing question by question, learn as you're going on. So you do a whole question. By the way, I don't mean a part, I mean like a whole question because you kind of spoil the answers a little bit. Do question one of a biology GCSE paper. Then you look at the mark scheme and you think, okay, I got this wrong. Why did I get this wrong? What was wrong about it? What did I do that was wrong here? And what is the, am I missing content? Am I writing it in a different way? Am I missing the obvious? I mean, some people, they really overcomplicate sciences and they think that it's some crazy thing and then they end up missing the obvious. Yes, it does increase the rate of reaction. Write it down, right? So what I usually teach is when you get a question in a paper, maths, science, usually sciences, write everything down that you know in that question because they're in your actual GCSEs and your A-levels, they're only gonna test you on something a couple times, like a handful of times, because there's so much content to test. So that's your opportunity to write everything you know about it. So make sure you're not leaving, don't be lazy. Don't be lazy with your answers because you'll end up getting some of these mark scheme points that you never thought you would get before just from doing that. So make sure you're doing that. Okay. So don't mark them casually. Do question by question and look at what you did wrong and keep that in mind. I think that's where you're going to get your learning. It's not going to be from doing the question itself. It's going to be from realizing what you got wrong. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Now, this is just a little, just in the middle, I put this down. So we've just recently, we've released our productivity guide. Now it's completely for free and it has these logs for you. It has a way for you guys to track your questions and track your exam papers. We have an empty model there for you. So that's just an example of what you would write in it, but we also have an empty template that you guys can use for your actual revision. So on that productivity guide, it will basically summarize everything I've talked about today. In terms of your growth mindset, understanding active recall, how exactly do I implement this in my revision? And then on top of that, you will have this log and this template for you to use for yourself. Use that productivity guide. This is something that we've created from the years of experience that we have and the students that we've taught that we think would be good for you guys. And it's completely for free. Use it. These resources are out there. People like us, we've been through the process ourselves. We know how difficult it is, right? We've done it ourselves. We failed. I mean, I kid you not, for those in year 10, right? I was getting fives in year 10. In year 11, I ended up getting all nines. Why? How did that happen? How did I do that switch? I started using the resources around me. I started asking my teachers things. I started watching videos. I took control of my own learning. I actually put in the effort to do what's above and beyond actual school because school isn't what's going to get you those nines. That's just a fact. It's not, especially if you rely on your teachers. It's very very lucky to get a good teacher nowadays. That's a hard thing to say, but in terms of the fact that just how the system is structured, when you're in a lesson, that teacher is teaching 30 students, and they're amazing. I'm sure they're amazing, but to teach 30 students, they're amazing. Unfortunately, you need your own support. You have your own weaknesses. The teacher can't possibly come to you in that time, and it's unfortunate, but that's just the reality of things. They already do so much. I mean, these teachers are really underpaid. So they do so much for our learning, but we need to put that step in for our own learning. And that's just the reality of things. All right. So honestly, do keep that in mind and use these resources. All right. There's a few more resources that we have that we'll come on to in the future. We have a few blogs. For those of you in year 12 and 13, we have some A-level subject blogs for you guys as well, that you guys can use, which have some resources on there for you guys as well, if you're stuck to find resources. So set yourself goals. Now, this comes back to the same thing I spoke about with Google Tasks. Have have an end goal and break it up and think about how do I get there? Because that way you're not overburdening yourself and you're being realistic with your time. The reality is we do other things. The second you start structuring your life around your learning, it gets kind of hectic. You stop enjoying things, and it's a shame. You can't stop enjoying things. It got to a point where exam season, to be honest, I enjoyed exam season to some extent. Yes, it was stressful, but if you can make time for your life, then you've done a good job. The way I think about it is structure your studying around your life, because that way you'll find gaps to fit things in. You'll find gaps to do that learning. You'll find gaps to do revision, and you'll make sure you're doing it because you see it as a priority for yourself. If you don't see it as a priority for yourself, then we need to have a talk, okay? Because you're setting yourself up for failure. But if you do see it as a priority for yourself, which it should be, you need to be able to have that healthy balance. And we'll talk about that a little bit in the future as well. So make sure to have all the content for the topics learned by the end of the week. It's difficult. It's a difficult thing. All of this is a difficult thing. 6 years of past papers by the end of year 13. Bro, what? Who's doing that? Listen, it's difficult, but you can't treat past papers. You're gonna get burdened if you just sit and do a past paper start to finish. You're gonna overwork yourself and you're gonna burn out. And burnout, you don't want to experience burnout, especially not in exam season. For those of you in year 11 and year 13, for those of you in year 10 doing your mocks, for those of you in year 12 doing your UCAS mocks, all right, which are very important, you can't burn yourself out. So when you sit and do a past paper, you need to make it sustainable for yourself. And a way to do that is to break up the past paper. Okay. Is, as I said, do a question, then mark it. And then think about it, right? That way you're constantly learning and you're actually getting stuff out of it. Is it good to do topic by topic flashcards and questions? Would it be better to do flashcards all at once than questions all at once? Topic by topic. I think it's good to do a flashcard. So it's good to kind of break it up in your brain. Again, it's about breaking it up into little goals. Think to yourself, okay, I'm going to do this topic today. How do I do it? I'm going to get the content, so I'm going to watch a video. And then I'm going to see what I don't know. So first of all, you know what? I'm going to give you the rundown now for sciences. For everyone in the school, year 10 to year 13. Listen to this. Very simple. I'm going to make it as easy as possible for you. Okay. First step, priming your brain. Let's say you want to sit down and do a topic. You want to do a topic you're bad at. You have to prime your brain. What's the first step? The first step, look at the specification and read it. For that topic, read the specification for that topic. Read it and be like, okay, oh wait, I didn't know this, I did know this. You've kind of primed your brain. You've primed your brain. What I mean by that is now when you watch a video, you'll think, okay, wait, this is on the spec. I need to know this. Good. Do that. So that's the first step. Look at the specification. Second step, watch a video. There's so many videos on there going through full topic question, like going through a whole topic. For example, alloy chemistry will go through any A-level topic for chemistry ever. And he's done a good job at it and he hits every spec point. So watch that. Halfway through that video, stop it and just write everything you just learned, basically. And then rewatch it and think, okay, did I gain everything? Or don't rewatch it, skim through it. Just make sure you got everything. Yeah. And then you watch the end of the video and then you do the same thing. Okay, write down everything you learned from memory. And then you rewatch, you skim past it. So you just use your arrow key, you just skim past it, like skim past the slides, and just make sure you've gotten everything. Then that's great. Already you've gotten all the content in your head. Because at that point you've done so much active recall that you've got it all, basically. And if there's things you don't understand, look into them a little bit more. At that point, so that's stage two done. So you've primed your brain and you've watched videos. What's stage three? By the way, watching videos can't be passive. You need to do that blurting because that blurting does so much more than you think. That blurting is really important. Again, if you don't know what blurting means, the recording's there. You can watch it, rewatch it. I explained it earlier. Stage three is the past paper questions. Now, depending on how confident you feel with the topic, you can go straight into this. If you're not that confident, I'd recommend doing flashcards first. So, let's go again. Prime your brain. Watch a video. Make sure you're blurting in that video as well. Do flashcards if you're not confident. Make sure you know everything. And then if you're confident, go straight into past paper questions. Do that full topic past paper question, past paper, like the topic question bank, wherever you've got it, there's so many websites that have it. Do it question by question. And do a question, look at the mark scheme, see what you got wrong, see what you can rejig in your exam technique. Do it again. Do that same question again. Maybe do it in your head again or write it down again, depending on if you're doing maths or not. Maths, do it again. But in sciences, in your head, think, okay, would I have gotten this right if I did it again from memory? And then do that question by question. If you do that, I guarantee you, I'll sit you down right here and I guarantee you, you will get 100% on that topic because you've covered everything and you've done it so extensively in terms of your neural connections. You've done it so extensively that there's no way to mess it up. At that point, it's just about spaced repetition. So at that point, you'll be amazing. You'll be amazing at that topic. But in a week's time, you may have forgotten it. So how do you fix that problem? Flashcards. Whether they're not your own on PMT or whatever website you use, there will be flashcards. In a week's time, literally set a week date. Or maybe not a week. If you're not confident, do it in 3 days. If you are confident, do it in a week. So do it in 3 days and do it in a week. Just do flashcards on that topic. It'll take you 10 minutes. 10 minutes. But those flashcards will retain everything you just did in that 2 hour revision session or 1 hour revision session. This, if you do it right and you do it effectively, it'll take you an hour and a half to 2 hours maximum, and you will have covered the whole topic. I mean, that sounds like a good deal, to be honest. And when you're sat in it, you're into it as well. Like I guarantee you'll be into it, and you'll want to learn. It won't make it too. It won't be too boring for you, but it won't be like too interesting. It'll be a good balance where you can actually sit through it and do it. So just make sure you do that. I mean, that's I've just covered basically everything you need to know in terms of your sciences and GCSEs and A-levels. If you do what I just said, you will get a 9. If you do that for every topic and then you do it for the past paper as well, you'll get a 9. I have no doubt you'll get a 9. I don't care what position you're in, even if you're on a grade 4, I guarantee you can get a 9. Okay. So there's some pictures of Mufti. So there's one of our co-founders, Mufti, Mohammed Mufti. And then we got, oh, I took that picture actually. The one in Deansgate. I don't know if any of you from Manchester, the second picture from the right, that's in Deansgate. That's a paddle court. Table, it's a tennis form, if you don't know what paddle is, paddle tennis. Anyway, the point is, this is just as important as your studies. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. If you sit there and get told, listen, you need to throw your whole life away just for these 2 months so you can get this grade, to some extent you do, but not for the whole like you're gonna burn yourself out. You're gonna burn yourself out. Burnout is the worst thing ever. I got burnt out right before my last A-level chemistry exam. And I felt so unconfident in that exam because of it. It's because I burnt myself out. It's because I just, it was such a strenuous process that I ended up burning myself out. So how would you prevent that? Now, the easiest way to prevent that is structuring your revision around your life. You don't need to give up on commitments straight away. Yes, at a certain point, you will need to prioritize certain commitments. For example, if you do sports, do this, do that. If you do too much, maybe you will need to prioritize one or two for the sake of your mental health, but as well so you have time to do revision. But don't throw away your hobbies. Don't throw away the things you enjoy. Don't throw away going out. If you enjoy going out with your friends once a week, do that. That should not stop you. That should not interfere with your revision whatsoever. Because if anything, having that time for yourself means you will need to be more wary as to how to structure your time. You'll be more wary as to how to structure your revision around the free time you have, right? Because that time you've done, right? So let's say Saturday. Saturday I'm going out, I'm eating food, I'm going to the arcade, I'm playing games. You burn off Saturday, okay? Okay, you've burned off Saturday. Now, your parents might say to you, listen, it's exam season, it's this. I'm saying to you, the fact that you've burned off Saturday means that the rest of those 6 days, you can now structure to make sure you've hit the goals you need to hit. If you do it that way, you will not get burnt out, you will maintain a work-life balance, and you will end up being a much healthier person and individual. And when it comes to exam season, you will feel so much more comfortable in the exam knowing that you've enjoyed yourself. Don't underestimate that. And especially for those in year 12 who want to do medicine and dentistry, who are going to UCAT season as well, this goes the same for you. Keep this in mind at all times, no matter what stage you're in, year 10 to year 13, keep it in mind because this is the thing that is the make or break for a lot of people. The stress that you get from the schools, depending on how you deal with it, can be the thing that leads you down the rabbit hole or can be the thing that makes you succeed. How do you maintain that work-life balance? Again, I've gone through that for you. So just make sure that you're prioritizing it. Prioritize your mental health. Speak to the people around you. Speak to your parents. They'll be more than open. Because some people, okay, they may think, okay, my parents don't want me to do it. They don't want me to have any fun. The reality is they understand that having a stressful life is not the best. All right. So they want to help you in that sense. Okay. Should you keep the paper you blurt onto? You can keep it, you can throw it away. I don't think it matters. I mean, what I say, to be honest, if you keep it and then you look back at it, it could be useful. I think the blurting, it's not supposed to be legible. Like you're supposed to do it really quickly. So I don't think it's too useful for you to keep. I think re-blurting is good. So doing another blurted paper, after like a day or two, and then comparing them would probably be a good idea. But yeah, you could keep it, you could not. It just depends on what you want to do. Is it better to blurt onto a note? But it doesn't matter. Yeah, do it on good notes, do it on a paper, do it on whatever you want. It doesn't matter. It's just about the process of doing it. Okay. Second free resource. I mean, we're spoiling you today. God, we're spoiling you. There's only 30 of you as well. You guys are getting spoiled today. Free resource. Now, this is for now. I don't want to make any promises. We might have some for GCSEs later on, close to exam season. But for now, we've got some for A-levels. Now, for the A-level students here, use this. This is a blog. We've written it ourselves. Okay. And it has certain resources at the end. We've put some resources at the end that you can use, some websites, some YouTube videos, some things that you can use for your own revision. And we've given you some techniques to make sure that you're getting that A star. Listen, it's possible. Is it too late to go from B to A star? Of course not, Mustafa. Of course not. It's about how you structure your time, and I hope I've given you some sort of motivation to understand that it is possible. And again, it's not about motivation, right? If you haven't been motivated from today, that's also perfectly fine. But again, it's about taking that first step in. So make sure you use the things around you. Now, for the productivity guide, it's on our website. For those of you who haven't gotten it, we will announce it later, hopefully later today, if not tomorrow. We will be announcing the productivity guide for you guys to use as well. For the blog, that's also there for you, and that has resources there for you. We're here to support you as well. Now, on the group chat, which I presume most of you have come from, if not, we'll have a link for that later. But on our WhatsApp group chat as well, ask questions. We'll be there to support you. we're here for you as well. And we'll have a little bit of time for Q&A as well at the end. So don't worry, if you're asking questions now, I'll just make sure that we have a little bit of time. So, thing I want to put in here today, follow our Instagram. Now, this is something we don't really talk about, but follow our Instagram because on our Instagram we will make these announcements. Now, for those of you who, especially for those of you who are going into medicine and dentistry, this will be really useful for you in the coming few years because we will put resources on there. We have resources on there, and on top of that, you'll get access to everything, everything in the company, everything that's happening will be on there for you. So, do follow our Instagram. That's what we're here for, and join our WhatsApp community because that's a game changer. When people come in here and they get their offers and they get into medical or dental school or they get into wherever they want to get, and they message us and they say, listen, the most useful thing, I mean, they thank us for everything. The most useful thing they say is the WhatsApp community because the way they use that was honestly make or break for them. Because the amount of people on there willing to help you, you won't even imagine it. You can't. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Sometimes you may put a question on there, it's a bit stupid, it might not get answered, but most of the time it will. And that is so valuable because it forms that community and it shows to you that you can do it. You can be in our shoes. And that's why we started this company because we've been through this process before. We've done this all before and we understand the importance of having that community. Having those people around you is so, so important. Now, for those of you who want some more specialized help, for those of you who think that, okay, I don't really know where I'm going at. They feel like they're independent, but they don't think they can get there. We offer tutoring services as well. Now, that's for people like me who've been experienced for 3, 4 years, who've gone through the process, who have tutored multiple students, gotten them from grade fives to grade nines, gotten them to A stars. If you're looking for that tutoring support and you're willing to pay for that, then go for it. Book a free consultation and one of us will have a chat with you and see how exactly can we help you as well. So make sure use the service as well. We're here to support you. Now, for those of you who are, who might be a bit young and don't really know anything about this, get your parents to do it for you, and we'll be there to support you as well. So for those of you who kind of feel in the depths, they might be in a bit of a despair bubble, you don't really know what you're doing, you might need a little bit of extra guidance than we've given you today, then use those services, and we'll be more than happy to support you until you get the grades that you deserve. So just to end it off, we could do a little Q&A panel. So again, I understand for a lot of people, this is the most valuable thing. So that's why I'm going to spend some time here today speaking to you guys about this. So any question now, for those of you who are asking about subject-specific questions, don't ask that today. Just ask me questions that are kind of a little bit more general that will benefit a lot of us today here today. If you have any subject-specific questions, ask them on the WhatsApp group chat, and we'll be more than happy to support you with that. So if there's any questions, do ask them in the chat. So I've gone through the B to A star. Yes, yes, you can. What subjects are flashcards best for? All of them, all of them, because it's about active recall. For those of you in your GCSEs who are doing English, history, geography, Spanish, flashcards are imperative for those subjects because those subjects you need to get that memorization in. So in sciences, it's important. Yes, it's important. But in the subjects that are humanities and that are a little bit more niche, flashcards are even more useful. And for those of you who can't find resources out there for their specific exam boards, like if you're in a bit of a niche exam board, a bit of a niche subject that you really can't find resources for, I guarantee you Seneca Learning, first of all, will have it. Seneca Learning as a website will have your course on there 100%. Or else I don't want to make promises. 95%. It'll have it on there. Okay. Because I remember I had every GCSE subject I had on Seneca Learning. I remember I used to do RE, like religious studies, like Wujek something. I don't even remember what I did, but they had it and I was so surprised. And that was the only resource I had for RE, but it helped me get a 9. So use that. Okay. Um, okay. I have my S exams. Any tips as they're part of my A-levels? Yeah. So I mean, this whole session should have been tips for you. Um, but the reality is, if they're coming up soon, so let's say you have your mocks in a couple of weeks. A lot of you, I know, we're at that time period. That's why we've kind of done this today. We're at this time period where you have this mock exams. If you need those tutoring services, where that support you, but if you want sort of tips for your own independent learning, prioritize your past papers now because a lot of these teachers will take their questions from those past papers. And on top of that, not only will they do that, those past papers will give you a good grasp of what is there to come, and it will give you a much better chance of getting a good grade. than if you were just sat there doing notes. Again, I hope I've made that obvious today. If anything, I hope I made obvious that just writing notes is not the best form of revision. If you guys gained that from today, I'm a happy man. I'm a happy man. Um, could you go through the best resources for each subject? That's going to take me 10 years. I can't do that for you today. But if you are in your A levels, we have our blog. It has resources on there. If you want resources for GCSEs, ask on the chat. I've given you some basics ones: physics and maths tutor, Seneca Learning, Cognito Edu, um, Maths Genie. Um, some think of some basic. I mean, honestly, those are the big ones. I used those five, I think, and I ended up getting a 9 in my GCSEs. I think those were the ones, and then in my A levels as well, I'm getting A stars. I think it's from those websites. There's a few extra ones, like if you're in year 12, year 13, and you want maths support, Matters Maths is really good. So they're really good for that because they have some harder questions. But yeah, I mean, if you're using those five, you're perfectly fine. Um, can I use A-level exam revision as an extra for my GCSEs? I presume that's what you're saying. Don't touch, don't touch your IGCSEs. No, sorry, don't touch your A-levels for IGCSEs, if that's what you're saying. You don't need to do that to yourself. A-level exam revision won't it's completely different. They're not even close. They're not even similar. So you're just wasting your time. You're just gonna be learning extra content you don't need to learn. So just focus on your IGCSEs. There's so much out there for you. Does the blog have resource links, flashcards, etc.? It will have websites on there that might have flashcards. Two websites for flashcards for sciences are Physics and Maths Tutor and Cognito Edu. Now, if you can't find flashcards on there for your subjects, Quizlet. Quizlet is a community-based thing. So you'll find people who've made flashcards on Quizlet for your subject, and they you could trust them. I trusted them blindly. I shouldn't trust them blindly. But so they might be wrong. Some people might be wrong, but they'll be good. And Anki as well, if you use Anki. I mean, I did use Anki in GCSEs. I don't know why I used it. I stopped using it in A levels and then I started using it in medical school again. But Anki is just a bit more complicated version of Quizlet. You can put yourself through that, but if you're in year 11 and year 13, I don't recommend it. If you're in year 10 and year 12, then maybe it's a good idea to do it for next year. But yeah, having that flashcard service is really good. Just get anything out there. If you just search up flashcards, AQA, GCSE, biology, so many will come up. Uh, Next week's webinar will be on will be announced. If it's not already announced, I'm pretty sure it is. It's for your personal statement, I'm pretty sure. So just make sure you sign up for that. We'll be there to support you for that as well. This is mainly for medical and dental school admissions. Please text the link for Seneca Learning. How do you spell it? You spelled it right, Zoom user. I don't know who you are, but you spelled it right. Is it better to focus more on content revision or doing past paper questions? A bit. If I have not answered this question already, like a bit after, I know you as well. A bit, it's past papers. It's past papers. But if you don't understand the content, go through the content because you can't just do past papers without knowing the content. So you need to have a little bit of an idea, and then you go and focus on past papers because when it comes to your actual A levels, that's what's important. Okay. In year 13, is it too late to make flashcards? Now, should I stick to yeah. Don't make flashcards. You don't need to make flashcards. So I'm just gonna write down the few websites. So we got Cognito, PMT, um, so Cognito Edu, PMT, Seneca Learning. Then you got Maths Genie is really important. And then I'll say some other ones. Matters Maths for A-level maths. And then you can also use Save My Exams. It's quite useful. Um, I mean, if you use those, to be honest, you'll get the most out of it. Would you say topic-based questions are better to focus on topics you're familiar with instead of yeah. So do topic questions first. This is what I'm saying. So you have a massive specification, right? You have so much content you need to cover. Focus on topics first, topic by topic. Make sure you're getting your weaknesses in. Okay. Make sure you're strengthening your weaknesses. Once you strengthen your weaknesses and almost like structure yourself so that you know what you're doing, then focus on full past papers. So make sure you focus on topic-based questions first, because that's what's going to get you going really, and that's what's going to make sure that you strengthen that topic itself. My year 10 mocks, they cover everything from year 10 to year 10. go through as I've gone through everything you need to do. If you want to rewatch the recording, it should be on there. I've gone through the sort of steps that I want you to do for every single topic for your sciences. Make sure you do that, and then use everything I've talked about today. Use our resources, use our productivity guide. Just make sure you ask the people around you as well. There's so much out there for you. All right. So, I mean, that's it really. So thank you all so much. I'm not gonna answer any more questions. I know it's frustrating if you guys do have any questions, but if you have any questions, ask them on the WhatsApp group chat. That's what